Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Tom van der Leest. I work at CGI as Vice President, and I'm responsible for the energy business we run in the northern part of the country. With me here today is Nienke Homan. Nienke, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Very happy to have you. As CGI, we have been talking a lot to different stakeholders in the market about hydrogen. You are one of the persons that is very explicit about making steps in the energy transition, reducing emissions, and sees hydrogen as a key element in that. You also work in very different roles, both on industry, as within IT, as within consulting. So we're very happy to have you to get some of the perspectives that you have from your different roles.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's the new world. So production, transport, and offtake of renewable electricity and green hydrogen. And you have to balance that system. So that's new. That's why I have these different roles. And actually, it's my favorite subject to talk about.
Well, I'm happy that I can ask you questions about something that's on the favorite list. Looking at your different roles and the role of hydrogen, we often see a lot of people talking about part of those roles, right? Either producing it, consuming it, or storing it. But it's quite a complex topic. And it also asks a lot of things to organizations to change. Given your conversations and different views that you have, what do you see as key challenges in that domain? And are there certain areas you see hydrogen moving faster than in other areas?
Yeah, well, we have two levels of transformation, I would say, of transition. So we have the social transition. So different companies, different sectors have to work together in another way. And then you have the technical transition. So we have to balance a complete new system with not a stable production of energy like natural gas or oil, but a flexible energy production that also wants a flexible net infrastructure, but also wants flexible offtake. That's not always possible. So we have to make a combination of new ways of working together and a new infrastructure system.
And if you would look a bit closer to that different way of working, what's different in that sense? How do parties act and how should they be acting?
Yeah, well, they act too slow because we are in a hurry.
Yeah, we are.
It's almost 2030. And we have a lot of goals in 2030, but we have even more to do so in the next couple of years. So by changing the system, so we have to start, for example, with using green hydrogen in different ways where hard to abate sectors. So I'm active, for example, in the chemical industry, but also in ceramic industry, and also in the IT system that is under it as a supervisory board president of the energy data service in the Netherlands. Yeah. And then I see that it's going to change from how can I say it, a stable offtake to a flexible offtake. And we have flexible offtake right now, for example, in mobility. And so you're not going to fill your car all day long. These are moments. So we have to we have to have a solution for this part. It can be a flexible system with electrons, but for example, also with molecules. So this is going to change the way we use renewable energy because, this is actually a part that is, if you look at the trucks, hard to abate. So we need green hydrogen for this. And how do you get the green hydrogen in the places where you refill your truck, for example?
Are these also like the industry and mobility? Are those the key industries you see it moving first?
Yes, especially the hard to abate sectors. So long haul trucking, for example, or chemical industry that needs not only an energy carrier for heat processes, but also as feedstock. So we're going to change that system because, nowadays you can have we have an organized infrastructure for getting, for example, the green hydrogen to the filling stations. The natural gas to the filling stations, the LNG, but not yet the green hydrogen. And so we have to organize this in a new way. So you can, for example, produce your own electricity for your electric car, but you can also produce your own green hydrogen for fueling your truck.
Yeah.
And that's also the same for industrial applications. And can you buy it on the market and what time for what price? Can you produce it by yourself?
Yeah.
This is really changing the system. And to do this in the best way possible, I think you really need to use data.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of data, we have a lot of opportunities to collect this data and use the infrastructure in the best way possible. But we have to organize this much better. And that's
it comes challenging, right? Because it's something, the energy system is a very complex system on its own, both technically and also on the data side, because we already have a decentralized system with suppliers, grid operators, and everybody has their own role to play. But we're adding quite a lot of variables to this discussion. How do you see those working together? Do you see that as they are replacing each other, or are they more a mix between renewables, hydrogen, natural gas, electricity?
This is the transition.
Right.
So we know where to go. So we need a carbon neutral system as soon as possible, I would say. But the transition is, it's very vague. So if you're in the middle of a transition, it's hard to see what to do. That takes leadership, and that's the first one, of course. But it also takes, you're obliged, I would say, to use the best ways you have to make this transition as soon as possible.
It also takes a bit of courage, doesn't it, to do something that is somewhat insecure and you don't know which way it's exactly going to go.
Yeah, well, that's the transition. That's the hard part. So, for example, households, so you have electricity, you could share it with your neighbor. And that's something that is tested and is possible, but we're not doing it yet.
Yeah.
And of course, we're using the system, the current infrastructure for it, but we're now having 16% of renewable electricity, and we have to have 100. So,
and that's just talking about electricity, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at how we use energy, it's just a part that's electric, and it's a much larger volume of energy that comes from different, more fossil-based sources.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to say. That's the problem. So if the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, then it's perhaps quite easy. But what do you do if both of them not there? So we need the green hydrogen there. For example, for the households to balance the system, to be sure that there's electricity, but also for the hard-to-abate sectors like industry, like mobility, to have it as a feedstock.
Yeah.
But also you have to use it for mobility, for example, for long-haul trucking, for the long distances, shipping. Yeah. So these are actually this will definitely change the way. And at the technical part, of course, you have to change the cars, the trucks and the boats, and of course the processes in the industry. But you also have to change the system to get it there.
Maybe from a more holistic view, maintaining an energy system evolves around having something that's affordable, reliable, and sustainable, right? Future-proof, and that we now use very unpredictable sources of energy, like wind, like sun, threatens that. I think that also imposes requirements to what you need to know about what's happening at a certain moment in time. And there, it might be interesting to talk a bit about EDSN and the work you're doing there. So as I understood it, EDSN is the shared IT service provider for the Dutch energy system, owned by 7 grid operators that jointly unify processes and created IT backbone. What kind of shift do you see coming along in IT land and the infrastructure we need there?
Yeah, it is really a shift. So we have energy going both sides, both ways.
Yeah.
So have from a centralized grid to a decentralized grid, small household level, but also industrial level. And then we also have the international level. So that's also an important part.
Trade.
Yeah, so the import-export situation. And just like it is now, it's a global energy system. So you're gonna exchange the energy with by cables and pipelines, but also by shipping, and it's all evolving. So using the natural gas, this will still be there the next couple of years. Of course, also oil, and meanwhile we also have to change the system to renewable electrons and molecules like green hydrogen. So this is. Yeah, you really need to see how you can do this in the best way possible. Yeah. In the level from the households and industrial applications. So, that is a heavy duty for our current infrastructure, and that is in the Netherlands. It's not. It is well designed, but it's not yet completely prepared for a flexible system. So, in the meanwhile, while we have this this mostly fossil fuel system, and we have to change this to renewable, flexible system.
Yes.
We have to use the infrastructure in the best way possible. Otherwise, it's going to be too expensive. So that's a part, but there's there's a more important part. We have the possibility to bring down the carbon emission even better if we use the system better. And that's, I think, the most important part.
And we kind of came a long way if you look where the energy system started, how it worked to now, right? Because during the 90s and 2000s, we liberalized this energy market. We created all kinds of systems that allow you to change supplier, choose your own supplier, have consumers accessing new services. And a lot of that work has been done at EDSN or by grid operators. Are there...
Made possible by, yeah.
Exactly. And are there things that we learned there or did there that you think like, this is something to keep in mind if we're doing to this new kind of source of energy?
Yes, definitely. We learned a lot the last couple of years, the last 15 years, I have to say. But we have to learn even more because we started with the flexibility of the system, of course, using the data, much more real time also. And we have to do this even more because we're only at the beginning of the transition. And we still have a long way to go, over 80%. So it's going to be much more flexibility will be needed. Yeah. So I don't see a way without changing the IT system or using it much better, I have to say, and perhaps also change it. I don't see a possibility getting the carbon neutral energy system without using the IT much better.
Yeah, and from CGI we recognize this point, right? We see many systems that have been designed as a one-size-fits-all. This is what it does. We need more modular solutions that are far more near real time, so we're closer on the ball, if you will, on what's happening and what choices do we have to make. And of course also to address part of this human capital challenge on saying, well, if you use artificial intelligence, if you use smart solutions, then maybe we can hurry up a bit, because you mentioned before, right, time is ticking out and it's quite a big transition to make. EDSN now works in line with the grid operators who first jointly decide what they want to do and then executed by EDSN.
Yeah.
If we're talking about speed and doing this quickly, would it be a good idea to change this around? Just let EDSN or a similar organization take the steering wheel on that? Or do you find it important that it's on that grid level? Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, I think the TSOs, this is what they do. This is their role. And IT is supporting this way of working. And I think this is also the future, supporting a stable, efficient, fair and just grid infrastructure. So I think IT is actually in all processes I know is a supportive part, and that can optimize systems. And that's actually what I like in it. It also can support, for example, the household, how these people that are now consuming the energy can get a new role. And then
the prosumer.
Yeah, like the prosumer consumer discussion. I really love it. And so we have it at the household level, but you can also have it, and we saw it the last couple of years in a situation with the gas crisis, that the shift of which way energy goes can change very quick. So if you can use data to make this effective and also have it influence prices, this is the next couple of years very important. So by using data, you can give information and create a stable grid, because I think in Netherlands, Europe, the world, it's very important to have the opportunity to have payable and reliable electricity or energy, for example, in the form of green hydrogen, for example, because energy is welfare. And that's important, that we keep organizing this and use IT to realize that.
Yeah. Well, we recognize a lot of the thoughts you're sharing. As CGI, we're quite ambitious to take a role in helping companies become digital and using IT to leverage some of the good ideas. Do you think it's moving fast enough?
No, I'm always in a hurry.
What can we do? Like, because you referred to the energy crisis, which was funny because it was a crisis, but it helped us too, right? Because all of a sudden, if you look at my own house, I put solar panels up and I isolated my walls because all of a sudden it was economically a good idea to do that. What are things we should pay more attention to? Where should we move quicker?
Well, that's quite simple. We need much more renewable energy. And if we need much more renewable energy, we also need more green hydrogen to balance the system. We need the renewable energy, of course, to as electricity, but also as a way to produce the green hydrogen for the hard to abate sectors. So this is this combination.
Storage on saying, okay, I can access that when needed, make a more optimum balance.
Yeah, so actually green hydrogen is the missing link in this system. So, and this is quite new, because natural gas and oil were already there, and natural gas is also a gas, so green hydrogen also, that it's not that hard, I would say, but the way it is produced and can be decentralized production, that's really changing the system. So if the question is, how can we do it even quicker? Yeah, much more electricity, create a quick system that can, find the optimal balance between molecules and electrons.
Okay.
So we can use our infrastructure in the best way for households, but especially also for industrial applications, and for the best optimized situation of using our infrastructure. So in that way, I think IT is supporting this transition in an elementary way.
And maybe then the last question about speed versus quality, because we were talking about hydrogen. Every time I mentioned hydrogen, you mentioned green hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
And green hydrogen is obviously hydrogen made fully by renewables.
Yeah.
Apart from green, we have 6 other different colors of hydrogen.
It's a complete rainbow.
Right, it's a very big rainbow. Is green the only way? Or should we consider for the sense of speed on saying, maybe pink or turquoise or different kind of types of hydrogen should be in that mix as well?
Yeah, I think the leading, the most important reason for having the discussion must be bring down carbon emissions.
Therefore, green.
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, perhaps also in the current situation, also blue.
Yeah,
but that's not my way, or not my, how do I say this? It's up to the companies themselves to choose one of these colors, as long as without carbon emission. That's for me now, in this current state that we're in with the climate crisis, this is the most important. It doesn't really make it easier, because then we have non-flexible, flexible. So the IT part will be even more important. But the transition is fake. It is a transition that makes it so hard, and use it in the best way. Yeah, we need the data, and I think it cannot be real time enough.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I'm very happy to have you here. As CGI, we are inviting the listeners to reach out and have a conversation with us on how we can help make some speed in digitalizing some of the more new process that we're introducing to the mix. You can either reach us in the details that are in the link, or you can reach us at one of the events we're visiting in the coming period. Obviously, we hope to see you there again. But for now, I would very much like to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And effort.
Have a good day.
As to you.